Hey, hi everybody. Welcome back to Stacks with Aheli. I'm so glad that you're here today because I'm going to start matrices today. And matrices is one of my favorite topic in whole of mathematics. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're not just going to understand matrices, but you're also going to love them. Okay. And now, if you're new here, hi, I'm Ahili Bhattacharya. And in this channel, I break down statistics and mathematics in a way that it really makes sense, right? And please hit that subscribe button, then you can never miss a video. Now let's get into our today's topic, which is first we are going to start with the definition of matrix. Now imagine that you have a big full class of students. Okay, now you want to record their marks on three subjects. For example, let's take mathematics, statistics, and science. Now you can write them one by one in a long list. You can do that, or you could arrange them in a neat table, like rows for students and columns for the subjects. That will be clean and organized and powerful, right? Now, that is essentially what a matrix is about. Formally, you can write this down. What is the definition? It is a matrix is a rectangular array of m times n elements arranged in m rows and n columns, okay, where the elements belong to a field F. The matrix is said to be of order m cross n over the field F. Now, what am I saying about the field F? What is field F? Field F is like you can think about like F is as the number system your elements are coming from. Okay, most of the times in this course we are taking to the F to be the set of real numbers. Okay, the set R, but it can also be rationals, which can be denoted as Q. It can be denoted as we can take as integers, which can be denoted as Z, or even the complex numbers, which can be denoted as C, right? Now here I have an example. See, follow this example. What am I trying to say here? See, in the first row it is 1 2 and 3. Second row is 4 5 and 6. This is a 2 cross 3 matrix. Why? Because there are 2 rows and 3 columns over the field of integers. This is very beautiful, right? Now see the next one is the row 1 is 2 by 3, then 1 by 5 and 5 by 3, and row 2 is 2 and 3 and 1 by 2. Now here you can see that this one has fractions, right? So it's not over the integers, it lives over the rationals instead. Now you can understand how the field matters, right? Now coming to the next part. Okay, let me introduce you to some notation that will follow you throughout this entire topic. So please pay close attention, okay? See, a matrix of order m cross n is written as A subscript m cross n. As you can see, A subscript m cross n, right? So the general form looks like a big rectangular table where the element in the ith row and the jth column is written as a subscript ij. Okay, we call it the ijth column, ijth element. Okay, basically what am I trying to say is that if you have a subscript 2 3, this will mean that the element sitting in the second row and the third column. This is just simple as that, right? Now here is something your textbook might not explain clearly. The numbers I and j are called the indices of that element. I always refers to the row and j always refers to the column. Row first and then column. Okay, row first, column second. Always never forget that. This is very important, and this is one of the very basic thing which you must remember for matrices. Okay, and by the way, you will see that the chain, this part here, look at this notation. What have I written? See, this part I have written that in the chain n, which is the natural numbers, is contained in Q, which is again contained in R, which is again contained in C. This just tells us that as we move from natural numbers to complex numbers, we're expanding our number system. The bigger our field is, the more elements our matrix can have, right? Okay, coming to row matrix and column matrix. All right, now here's where it gets interesting. Why? See here, what happens when m is equals to 1? When you have just one row, m was 1, right? So then your matrix will look like what? A single horizontal strip of numbers. We call this a row matrix, or sometimes a row vector. Its order is 1 cross n. And what if our n is equals to 1, here our n is equals to 1, then what would happen? It will be like a column matrix, only one column, right? Then its order will be what? M cross 1. Now you can think of it like this, that a row matrix is like a train running horizontally, and a column matrix is like a building standing vertically. Okay, same idea but different orientation, right? Okay, coming to the next part, null matrix or and square matrix. Okay, these are very two important types before we get to the very good stuff today. As you can understand that in the later part of this video, I am going to teach you the left divisor and the right divisor of zero, as you have seen in the thumbnail. And in the for getting to that part, you must understand these basic concepts of matrices. Okay, so yes, first let us understand what is the null matrix. Null matrix is also called the zero matrix if every element of an m cross n matrix is zero. Every element must be zero, right? We call it a null matrix, and we call it as the zero or the O subscript m cross n. It's the additive identity of matrices. Just like how zero is the identity matrix, additive identity for numbers, right? This null matrix is the additive identity for matrices. Okay, second, let us come to the square matrix. Now, what do I mean by square matrix? When the number of rows equals the number of columns, it is called a square matrix, and that is it, which basically means that m will be equals to n. We have a square matrix of order n or order m, whatever you say. The elements a11, a22, a33, and so on go diagonally, and we call that diagonal elements or the main diagonal. Okay, I'm going to come to diagonal matrix in the next part only. Let me teach here what is the definition, the methodical and clear way of writing a diagonal matrix. See, a square matrix is only called a diagonal matrix if all of the off diagonal elements are zero. Only the main diagonal, which I was talking about, can have non zero values. So the condition is basically that a subscript ij equals 0 whenever I is not equals to j. As you can see in this example also, here our main diagonal is non-zero and the off diagonal elements are zeros, right? And here, from here we can see that the non-zero entries are what? 1, 2 and 9, which only sit on the diagonal. Everything else is 0. This matrix is written compactly as you can see, diag 1, 2 and 9. Okay, in general a diagonal matrix is denoted as diag d11, d22 and goes on till dnn. Okay, now you have to note something. See, the diagonal elements themselves do not have to be equal. They do not even have to be non-zero. Okay, this is something to note about it. Okay, now coming to the next part, that is the scalar matrix. As you can understand the build-up of this video, I will tell you how am I relating to every topic in the after I complete identity matrix. Okay, okay, let's first complete what is scalar matrix. Scalar matrix is a special diagonal matrix. It's diagonal plus all the diagonal entries are the same value. Then we can say that the same value or the same scalar, whatever you say. Okay, then we can say that it is a same it is a scalar matrix. Okay, so if every diagonal entry equals k and everything else is 0, that is your scalar matrix. Now here you can see in this example our scalar k is equals to 2 here in a 3 cross 3 matrix. Here we can see that row 1 is 2 0 0, then 0 2 0, then 0 0 2. This can be written as diag 2 2 2, and you can notice that how all the three diagonal entries are identical. That is what makes it scalar. Okay, now we are coming to identity matrix. This is another example of scalar matrix. This is of 2 cross 2, right? Okay, order is 2. Now let me come to identity matrix, and this one is very very important because identity matrix is something you want to remember forever. Okay, see, it is basically a scalar matrix only where the scalar equals to 1, where we were taking k to be 2, right? In the previous example, here you have to take k to be 1. Okay, every diagonal entry is 1 and everything else is 0. This is written as I subscript n for an n cross n identity matrix. Now here you can see in this this identity matrix, right? The 3 cross 3 identity matrix looks like what? 1 comma 0 comma 0, or 0 comma 1 comma 0, and 0 comma 0 comma 1. Okay, this is the row 1, 2, and 3, right? Now here is why this is so important. The identity matrix is the multiplicative identity for matrices, which is basically I'm trying to say is that for any matrix A of the right order, AI is equals to IA is equals to A. Now, what did I just say? This is basically that just multiplying a number by 1 gives us the number back, right? Now, multiplying a matrix by the identity gives you the matrix back. That is what I'm trying to say here. And this is what I was talking about, that how am I building up this video. See, identity matrix is basically a subset of scalar matrix. Why? Because in scalar matrix here we are taking the scalar to be 1, right? Which is again, scalar matrix is again a subset of diagonal matrix, which is again a subset of square matrix, right? So every identity is scalar, every scalar is diagonal, and every diagonal is square. Okay, this is something very important observation which you can hold for today's class, right? Okay, coming to the, okay, this is what I was trying to say. Now coming to the triangular matrices. Now what is basically triangular matrices? This is again a very systematic kind of problems. Now we have two types of triangular matrices. The first is upper triangular matrix, and the second is lower triangular matrix. Now what is upper triangular matrix? It is basically a square matrix only, where all the entries below the diagonal are zero. The condition is a subscript ij equals 0 when I is greater than j. Now here you can see in this example that the lower portion is 0, right? All entries below the diagonal is equals to 0. So this can be said to be upper triangular matrix. Now, or you can also say that lower left triangles are all zeros. If that is 0, then we can say that it is upper triangular matrix. Okay, now let us come to lower triangular matrix. Then what is the just the opposite of upper triangular matrix is lower triangular matrix, because this is very easy to understand, right? So even that I'm trying to explain you a little more. See, a square matrix where all the entries above the diagonal are zero, then we will say that it is a lower triangular matrix. And what is the condition for it? Condition is that is a subscript ij equals 0 when I is less than j. Here you can understand the conditions and see in this example, the all the entries above diagonal is equals to 0, then we can say that it is the lower triangular matrix. Now, see, there are two key results to note. Look at the results. A matrix is called a triangular matrix if it is either upper or lower triangular. And next is a diagonal matrix is both upper triangular and lower triangular at the same time. Now, like, think about it. Just let me come to the diagonal matrix once more. Okay. Yes, think about it. See, in this diagonal matrix, all the entries above the main diagonal is 0, and even the lower part is also 0. So here we can see that a diagonal matrix is both upper and lower triangular matrix, right? Because the upper and lower triangles are both zeros. So we can say that this is the diagonal matrix can be said as both upper triangular and lower triangular matrix. Okay, now coming to the next part. Done. Triangular matrix is done. Okay, transpose of a matrix. Now how do we understand transpose of a matrix? See, the transpose of a matrix A is obtained by interchanging its rows and columns. If A is m cross n, then transpose will be n cross m. Just that. It is denoted as what? A subscript, a superscript, capital T or small t. Okay, now see in this example, here we can see what is the order. It is 3 cross 2. Why 3? Because there are three rows and there are two columns, right? But in the transpose, there will be only two rows and three columns. Okay, and how will you change it? See, you can notice that the first row of A becomes the first column of A transpose, and the second row becomes the second column. Like, every row flips into a column. Now, if I have to show you, see 1, 3, and 5, here it is 1, 3, and 5 as the column, as a row, right? And in this column, 2, 4, and 6, this is written as the row here. Okay, you can think about, you can think of it like this also. Now, we will come to the Theorems on matrix operation. Now this is very important part, okay, because theorems are needed, and to understand matrices you should understand how the theorems work, okay. Like before we get to the most exciting part of today's class, let me just quickly nail down the four important theorems. The first theorem is that matrix addition is commutative, okay. Matrix addition is commutative, multiplication is not, okay. Okay, so let me say what is addition is commutative means that a plus b is equals to b plus a. But multiplication is not commutative, which means that ab is not equals to ba in matrices, okay. Now note that only the two matrices are conformable for addition only if they have the same order, okay. This is important to note. Now coming to the next theorem, as you can see, that is matrix addition is associative. What is associative? That is a plus b plus c is equals to a plus b plus c, okay. A b plus c is in the bracket. So this is matrix addition is associative. Now coming to theorem 3, that is matrix multiplication is associative. Multiplication is associative, okay, which means that ab into c is equals to a into bc. Now you have to note that for conformability for multiplication, that is you need to check this, that a subscript m cross n, like for a, suppose we have two matrices a and b and we need to multiply it, okay. For that we first need to check the conformability. Now what is the subscript of a? Let me say it is m cross n, okay. And what is the subscript of b? Let us say it is n cross p. Then its result should be of m cross p, okay. Which I basically say is that when the columns of a is equaling to the number of rows in the b, then only this matrix will hold, this result will hold, we can do the multiplication, okay. So this is important, and even if you do not understand this, if you do not know this, then please write what am I saying. That is a subscript of the first matrix, let us say a, have m cross n, and the another matrix b, let that have the subscript n cross p. Then it will be valid only when the number of columns of a is equal to the number of rows of b. Then the result of the order will be m cross p, okay. Now this is very important, and this is very basic also. We have studied all these things in class 11s and 12s. In divisor of zero, that is something new which we are going to do right now, okay. But before that we have another theorem to understand. This is what multiplication is associative. And now coming to the theorem 4. Now see what is theorem 4. Theorem 4 is saying that matrix multiplication is distributive over addition. That is a into b plus c is equals to ab plus ac. Now here is the big warning, okay. Unlike numbers, matrix multiplication is generally not commutative, what I was trying to say, right? AB is not necessarily equal to BA. This is one of the most important things to remember about matrices. In fact, AB might be defined while BA is not even defined. Okay, like this happens. That is why matrices is a little bit different than number theory, right? Okay, coming to the highlight of our today's section, which is divisor of zero. Now, everyone, stop what you're doing, and this is the part of the video that I genuinely get excited about, okay? Because this concept, divisor of zero, is the moment matrices reveal just how different they are from ordinary numbers. Now, why am I saying that? Like, once you truly understand this, your entire understanding of matrix algebra will shift. Now sit up, grab your notebook, and let's go deep, okay? Now see, in ordinary arithmetic, you know this rule like from our heart. That is, if a times b equals 0, then either a or b is equal to 0, right? This is called the zero product property. Now it is so fundamental that we even never question it in normal maths, right? If two numbers multiply to give 0, at least one of them must be 0. That is it, like we know that. But matrices break this rule. Two completely non-zero matrices can multiply together and give you the zero matrix. Like, oh my god, not zero the number, but the zero the matrix where every single element is zero, okay. Now this is wild, right? Like, let me say it again, that a is not zero, b is not zero, but ab is equal to zero matrix. Like, how is that even possible? Now let's see that how does it happen. Now see, this is basically okay, this is basically the definition of the formal definition of this, which is a non-zero matrix A of order m cross n is said to be a divisor of 0 if there exists a non-zero matrix B of order n cross P such that AB equals 0 subscript m cross P, the zero matrix. Whatever I was saying earlier, like the rules, the conformability rule for multiplication, that is what I said here right now too. That how do we understand the order of the zero matrix? We will understand by that rule. Okay, so both A and B are not zero, but their product is zero. That is basically the definition. Now we will start with something very important. That is, first let us start with, okay, left divisor of zero. This is here you need to be very careful, okay, because there are two types of divisors of zero, and confusing them is one of the most common mistakes students make. Okay, in the product, now please understand what am I trying to say. Okay, in the product AB is equals to 0, A is multiplying on the left side of B, so we say that A is the left divisor of 0 of B. Okay, and B is multiplying on the right side of A, so we say that B is the right divisor of 0 of A. Okay, now read that again if you do not understand this part, this note part, that A is a left divisor of 0 of B and B is a right divisor of 0 of A. Okay, now left divisor means the matrix on the left and right divisor means the matrix on the right. Now the names come from which side they appear on the product, right? Like this is very understandable, you can understand this from just the name itself. Now we will drill this with an example right now. Now this will be very exciting. Now see, I have given you two matrices, that is here A and B, both of the order 2 cross 2. Now see, first you need to check the conformability. What is the conformability? That is, A is 2 cross 2 and B is 2 cross 2. The number of columns of A is 2 and the number of rows of B is 2. Then okay, then we can do the multiplication. And what will be the order of the result, which is AB? It will be defined as M cross P, which is 2 cross 2. Okay, then we have checked the conformability, then we can do the multiplication. Now if you do not know how to do matrix multiplication, then let me teach you here. See, for the first element of row 1, see, 1 into 6 plus 2 into minus 3, this will be the first element of row 1 of row 1 of AB. Then likewise you will do the second row also. How? 2 into 6 into 2 into 6 plus 4 into minus 3, and then what, 2 into 4 in 2 into minus 4, and then plus 4 into 2. Okay, so you will now value calculate the values of it, and then in this example we can see that the answer will be 0 0 and 0 0. So this is basically what the null matrix, right? So we can see here that this is basically the matrix, the null matrix. So we can say that this is the left divisor, A is the left divisor of 0 of B and B is the right divisor of 0 of A. And there it is. That is the concept which I was talking about of left divisor and right divisor and in action, right? Okay, now coming to an example. Okay, here in this question we need to find the left, all the left divisor of 0 of in the given part is that C. Okay, so we can see that the order of C is what, 2 cross 3. Why 2 cross 3? Because there are 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay, now here we are given this. Now we want to find matrix A such that AC is equals to 0. Why? Because A is the left divisor of C. Okay, so here first we need to do the conformability check. Now we have to understand that if A is of order m cross n, then, and here C is of order n cross P, and here what is the order of C, which is 2 cross 3. For AC to be defined, A must have 2 columns from the conformability rule, right? So A is of order m cross 2 for some m. Now if I take m to be 2, then for simplicity, then it will be easier for us to calculate, right? Then it will be a 2 cross 2 matrix. Now next you need to do what? You need to write, let us take the AB and AB to be the first row and C and D for the second row. Okay, now you need to do the multiplication. Now how will you do the multiplication? Just the same way, A into 4 plus B into 6. right, for the first element. Then A into 2 plus B into 3, like that, and you will just go on with the matrices multiplication. Okay, now this can be confusing at first. When you try to do solve these matrix multiplication on your own, you will feel more comfortable on it. Okay, now see, in this here we have got few values. Now next you need to set this to be the equal to the null matrix, right? Then if we set to be null matrix, then we can say that each of these entries will be 0. Then if I set each of these entries to be 0, then from here in this equation, that from row 1 we get 4a plus 6b is equals to 0, 2a plus 3b is equals to 0, and we do not need the third element. Why? Because now see something important from these two rows, from these two elements, that is the second equation is just the first equation divided by 2. So they are basically the same equation, right? So we have only one equation, 2a plus 3b is equals to 0. Now this gives us the minus 3 by 2 into b, which is basically minus 3b by 2. Okay, and from similarly from row 2 also, that is 4c plus 60, just a moment. Here, similarly from row to 4c plus 6d, here we can see that with the c will be again minus 3 minus 3d by 2. Okay, so here in this one we did on like the same thing like we did for row 1 also. Okay, then here we can do what is the next step. The next step, we need to introduce the free parameters. Why are we introducing free parameters? Because here we are asked to find all possible left divisors, right? So after these parameters, we can put values and check how many numbers can be there. All the possible numbers we will get from here. Okay, so let us we can see that we have got two free variables, that is b and d. Now we can call them k1 and k2. Then what happens is that b is equals to k1 and d is equals to k2. Then a will be what? A was equals to minus 3b by 2, right? So now b is equals to k1, so it will be minus 3k1 by 2, right? And d is what? D is k2. Then we can say that c was equals to what? Minus 3k minus 3d by 2. So here d is k2 now, so we will write what? Minus 3k2 by 2. And we will mention that k1 and k2 are real numbers and not both 0. Now this is the family of all left divisors of 0 of c, and there are infinitely many of them. Okay, as you can see, I have arranged it. This is a, b, c and d, just now as I have said. And now if you check for a specific example, now if you want to, then you can see for k1 to be 2 and k2 to be 4. Now why did I take this specific example? Because I can just cancel off the this fraction part. For the 2 part, I have taken multiples of 2 in k1 and k2. Okay, so if I take k1 to be 2 and k2 to be 4, then we get a to be minus 3 2 and minus 6 4. Okay, now if you want to check that if this is actually coming to be the left divisor of 0 or not, then you can verify it. How? Then you can see that this a into c will be equals to the null matrix. Now if you do the full calculation on how on the matrix multiplication, then you can see that the result will be the zero matrix. Okay, therefore here we can say that a is the left divisor of 0 of c. Okay, now this was on the left divisor of c. We will now come to right divisor of c. Now this is I will do this part in a way much easier way, and I'm not going to verify here because that was for just for your satisfaction, that yes, this is coming to be a honest proof. Okay, now for the right divisor of c, now see what I have done here. Basically for right divisor, what do we need to do? We need to take cb is equals to 0, right? Because b is a right divisor. Now you can notice the change, the shift, that the c is now on the left, and c is here what? 2 cross 3. Now for cb to be defined from the conformability rule, we can say that b must have 3 rows. Now let's take b to be 3 cross 1. Why? Because then it will be the simplest case possible. And let us take the entries to be x, y and z, as you can see have taken. Then you can compute the values of cb, which is the matrix multiplication, and then you will get just a column vector, column matrix, right? Now next you need to do what? You need to set each equal to 0, because we are setting it up to the null matrix, right? So from these two equations we will get Now from the first equation you can see that 4x plus 2y plus 6z is equals to 0. Now if I divide the equation number 1, this equation number 1 by 2, then we get what, that 2x plus y plus 3z is equals to 0. Then from here only we are getting that y is equals to minus 2x minus 3z. Now here next step you need to do what, you need to introduce the free parameters, right? Now if you introduce the free parameters as x equals to a and z is equals to b, then here now you need to mention that where a and b are real numbers, okay? Then here x equals to a and z equals to b, then from here you can see that y will be what, y will be minus 2a minus 3b, right? And for the equation that is x, for the column vector this, the b part which is x, y and z, here we can say that x was a and y we have just calculated minus 2a minus 3b and z is b, so we have got the b vector, b matrix, right? So here that is our right divisor of c. B is the right divisor of 0 of C, since CB is equals to 0 with both B and C non-zero. Okay. Now you can verify this on your own in your home, and that is basically everything on left divisor and right divisor of 0. And now let me show what is there. Okay, this is the key concept, or you can say the I am telling you the summary that I want you to write in big letters in your notebook. Okay, that is, in the product AB is equals to 0, the which is 0 is not the number 0 here, that is the zero matrix, write that in brackets, and where a and b are no, both non-zero, then a is the left divisor of 0 because it sits on the left, and b is the right divisor of 0 because it sits on the right. And here is a philosophical point I want you to carry with, that is, in ordinary number arithmetic this situation is impossible, right? 0 times anything is 0, but non-zero times non-zero is always non-zero, right? Now matrices break that rule entirely. This is why matrix algebra is richer, more complex, and honestly more beautiful than simple number arithmetic, right? Now this concept also connects deeply to the idea of matrix of invertibility. A matrix that is a divisor of 0 can never be invertible, but that is a story for another video which is coming right after this. Okay. And okay, so basically that is all for our basics of matrices. We have covered the definition on the special types, the null, square, diagonal, scalar, identity, triangular, the transpose, and all the four theorems on operations. And then we went deeper onto the divisor of 0, right? And that is basically all for today's class. And if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps the channel grow. Share it with a classmate who's struggling with matrices, because good notes should not be kept to yourself. And if you have not subscribed it, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe right now and join the Stats with Aheli family. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep learning, keep questioning, and stay curious. So, yeah, bye bye. I'll pin down the notes here, my blog account too, and my this slide too. Okay. So, bye bye. See you soon.